So how many of you don't speak English? Okay. Pablo. Okay. So you don't understand. Alors tu ne comprends pas ou tu ne parles pas?
Bon, les deux, je crois.
Tous les deux? Tous les deux? Ok. Alors, tu t'appelles? Alors, tu as...
Je vais traduire, d'accord.
Je peux essayer de parler en français, mais ça ne sera pas bien pour tout le monde. Ça sera un peu dur. Mais bon, vous pouvez poser les questions en français, je vais répondre si je fais en français, sinon en anglais. Mais je pense que les choses qu'on va faire aujourd'hui sont, j'espère, faciles à comprendre. Alors, the link canvas is a one-page business model. It's one-page business model, so you will be able to show your idea, your business to anyone within seconds. So what you will learn is how to have one sentence to say what you're doing, and then when people are interested, have another 30 seconds to tell them a little bit more. And if they're more interested and want to give you money for your company, you can show them your plan. Okay? So I have done this before, so I worked with over 100 startups. I'm in the board of some of those startups. I'm an investor as well, and you know, we work with both big companies and also small companies. So what you will see here is something that has worked for sure. So what you're learning is not theory, it's everything has been done before and successfully by people. So because you have a goal, you have 3 criteria from the jury what you would like to achieve. So this is about how to build your business model. It's about how you do customer validation. It won't help you a lot with execution and design, although having a plan helps you do that, right? So, and I'm here the full day, which means I will go to each and every one of you and work individually so that you get that canvas done. There are copies outside, which after you leave, you can get one, and then I will work with you to get that clear. When you have that clear what you want to do, then you can spend all of your time executing, rather than figuring out, should I do this or do that? Okay. This is how it looks like. And the order is kind of important, because the order shows you how to explain your idea to anyone, right? It starts, who are my customers, what are the problems, what exists already in the market, then is anyone willing to pay money for that, and so forth. So we'll go through very fast. We'll start with the first one, which is, who are your customers and who are your users? That is not always the same thing. For example, I've heard of the one that they're doing this idea with yachting. Maybe the customers are the yacht owners, but the users are the service personnel on the yachts, right? It's a different thing. And then, here's the most important advice I can give you. When you define your problem, you need to define it as an improvement of what exists today, already. So what this means is, we as humans are very lazy. If I already today solve a problem by myself in a particular way, to get me out of that and start using whatever solution you are doing, right? It's hard. You need to describe the way you solve problems in comparison to what exists today. A very simple example, email is really bad, right? Slack maybe is much better, or Link, or whatever. It's much better. But still people use email. Why? Because Slack is not good enough for them to change. Yeah? This is why this happens. So if you want to really move people, describe problems in comparison to what exists today. This is also useful for sales afterwards. Your salespeople, this is what they do. They say, this is what you're doing today, and it could be much better like this. And if you have those arguments, you will be able to sell and grow your business. So the advice is, focus on a small list of problems. Don't try to do, we're solving 10 problems. That's very hard to do in 54 hours anyway, but for anyone it's hard to do. Try to get maximum 3. If you solve only one problem, like what am I eating tonight, right? Qu'est-ce que je vais manger? C'est un problème, ça. One problem, then it's just one problem. Who are the users? Who are the users? The family, right? Who is the customer? I do not know. Who is working in the house? Is it the wife? Is the man that's paying the bills? He's the customer, right? So, good. What is the existing solution about what I'm going to eat tonight? Everyone is asking, and that doesn't work. It takes a lot of time, and so forth, right? Off you go. So, the next thing is, because you have 54 hours, you need to find those customers which experience the problem the most. You can say, oh, all consumers will use what I do, but that's not good enough to start. You need to find who are the people that have the biggest problem, right? And those are called your early adopters. So if you find those, these are the people that will love you immediately. They will say, give it to me and I will pay you money immediately. When you're doing validation, try to talk to early adopters first. When you have a little group of people that believe in what you do, then try to expand. Don't try to immediately get everyone, right? This is not so easily possible without resources. So what we have, we know who our customers and users are. We understand what they have been using today, because people are already solving the problem that you have found, right? And we know that we can do it better. The next step is, are they going to pay for it? You only have a business if someone is willing to pay you money to buy what you're selling. If nobody is willing to pay you money, they say, it's great, but I'm not going to pay for it. You don't have a business, right? What does this mean? Is you might have validated your problem with your customers, but if your customer is saying, no, I'm not going to pay for it, you need to change. Remember the Wonder Woman going around like this, the pivot, right? That's a good time to pivot. You need to change, maybe the problem you have identified is not good enough for people to pay money for. For the purpose that what we're doing here is obviously, and you can assume, but one of the questions you will be asking is, here is, how are you solving this problem, dear customer? They will tell you. Then you tell them, what is in the way you solve the problem that today does not work? They tell you. If you're lucky, they will figure out the problem that you think you can solve better, right? It's only then you can have the discussion. Don't try to lead them in telling you what you want to hear. Let them tell you what they experienced today. And if they arrive to that point, then you can ask, if I could solve that problem for you, if I could solve it, how much you would be willing to pay to have that problem solved? If everyone says nothing, it's not a good problem, right? Do something else. If somebody says 1, 2, 5, it doesn't matter, as long as they're willing to pay. That's more important than how much. If they are willing to pay, that's more important. Okay. So now, we have figured out what our customers want, we have understood the problem in their terms, and now we're going to do a solution. Most people go here and say, okay, and here is my solution to this problem. That's fine. And that would be maybe your application, that would be your platform, that could be your training, if you're doing your training and so forth. That would be your blockchain platform, anyway. But what is more important is, if I have that solution, what does this mean for my customers? So for example, to go back to food, if I have a way to figure out what I'm going to eat every evening, right? What does this mean for the customers? The benefit is less discussions, more time. That's a benefit. It's not a benefit to get a recipe of what I'm going to cook. That's a solution. The benefit is more time, right? And benefits are more time, is less cost, more revenue, things which you can measure, but measure from an end user's point of view, right? What do I get from that? So, what type of solution you are doing? Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Alors, dis-moi la solution de startup que tu travailles avec.
Que quoi?
Que tu travailles avec, c'est quelle idée?
One.
One. Alors, et One fait quoi?
C'est une plateforme
So here, who are the customers? Are the hoteliers, cafes, restaurants that search for people, right? Who are the users of that platform? Are both the hoteliers and also the service personnel, the seasonal personnel, right? So, what is the problem that you have identified? Is that the demand for service personnel fluctuates, it goes up and down, right? So, what do they do today? It's not the problem? No. No, what is the problem?
The problem is that the person who work in the luxury industry, like
Yes.
the service,
Yes.
are only recognized by the fact that the customers give their more money
Yes.
to recognize them.
Okay.
So
I think
this app, customer can have the points
Mhm.
to maximize the server.
Okay, there are two things then. So for the ones that are paying, which are the hotels, they want to have, what you're saying is they want to have qualified personnel,
Yes.
provably qualified personnel, right?
With the proof of the
Yes.
quality of the.
So the users, which is the service personnel, they want to show also that they are qualified. So they want to show something. We have two people, right? So we're solving two problems there. One for the hotels who want to have qualified personnel, and one for the personnel that want to show that they are good enough.
And customer can see where are the best server.
The best service. Okay. So you have that. So today, what are the solutions? The standard way of hiring people. You can never show anything like that. So that's a real difference. Now, what are the benefits? The benefits is for the users, career progression, better pay, right? These are benefits. For the hotels is they can show a better service. They can say we have only qualified people, and you can see that in the platform that they're all qualified. Now, though this is a solution, the benefit would be if the customers of those hotels would give them higher scores to the hotel. You can have very qualified people, but the end experience is really bad. You have the best qualified waiter, but then the person that cleans the room is not good enough, right? And then the whole experience is gone. We went to the hotel, food was great, but it was dirty. So you see that there's a difference between having a solution to one problem and being able to offer a benefit, which is the hotel gets more business overall. That's the benefit. Not the hotel can show I have qualified waiters. Do I get more business? That's benefit. Okay. So now, this is where you can write your 30-second pitch. Right? Here it is. It's a template. You will get the presentation. Don't worry, all of that will be with you. So at one, we enable hotels, right, increase their overall business by displaying that they are having qualified personnel. Yeah? A solution that solves this problem. They're having qualified personnel. And each person, you can say, each person in that personnel has a very clear profile on how actually they have been working throughout the whole history. So that is the hotel. At one, we help service personnel, seasonal service personnel, show their career progression and get paid more because of that, right? By offering a solution where they can be rated by people they have been serving at any time, at any place they have. And this is a history that stays with them forever, like an extra CD. Yes?
So you write one proposition for each customer segment?
Yes, absolutely. So, because if you're selling to an enterprise, or if you're selling to a customer, the language they want to hear for them to understand what you're doing is completely different.
That's all on the same wall.
No, yes, you will get one for example, if you have an enterprise or you have consumers and an enterprise, you make one for the consumers, one for the enterprise, one for the users. Why is that important? When you're creating your website, right, what do you do in your website? You actually create landing pages with the value proposition for each segment. So if you are going to get users to come to my platform, I need to have a landing page when they come from Google, from Facebook, from wherever you do your advertising. When they land there, they see something they understand that speaks to them. So you cannot have a single value proposition as a company. It doesn't work. That's old school thing. Okay, so this one, you will get it, and there will be a next version. So you write it over there. If somebody asks you what you do, within 30 seconds, you're done. This is what we're doing. This is the people we have. This is how we do it. This is why it's different. And this is the benefits they get. Now, when you have a value proposition, now you need to bring it to the market. I don't want you to go too much into detail on that. That could be a workshop on its own. But important is to say, am I working with consumers? Am I working with businesses? And when I'm working with them, am I spending less effort because it's online, low touch, right? Or am I actually engaging with people, like account-based selling? Then it is actually high touch. This means you need to talk with people. If you are an investor, most investors will look for channel strategies which are scalable, which means that you can very easily reach many people with not too much cost. So people will look for massive and always low touch. However, there are businesses that cannot work like that. If you are a doctor, you don't scale, right? And what we can say there is a trend is people have been going, everything is automated, and now we have had enough of it, and now we want again personal touch. This is why you see customer support becoming much more important today. The way you engage with your customers is much more important. So it's not sufficient to sell someone something, but you need to make sure they're able to fully utilize it as well.
Is that what you mean by
yes?
high touch is by personal touch?
Yes, exactly. So if you have an account manager for an enterprise that need to go there, talk with them, that is high touch. You need to. Yeah. So the next part is, and again, this just go with some keywords. You can say we're business to consumer or business to business. We're doing it online or offline. Don't need to put too much information in there because that already defines how much work you need to do. If you're business to business, your sales cycle might be 3 to 6 months. If you are business to consumer and you are online, maybe that's easier. And this is depending on maybe. So now the costs, the key metrics that you have. Every business needs to know which are the elements that will make me successful, right? And those metrics, they're usually very much connected to the type of business you're running and also the type of value proposition you are offering. So important would be, oh yes, do I make money, right? It's a metric, how much money I'm making. But you know, I'm glad to ask you to think a little bit deeper. I'll give you an example. The one with the hotels again. You can have 30,000 service personnel in your database. And you can say, the more people I have, the better I am. Maybe not. Maybe how many of those are getting hired is more interesting. Because if you have a lot, but nobody is hiring them, then your platform is failing. Now, from those that are getting hired, that's better, right? But how many of those are getting hired twice? 3 times. That's even more interesting. Because then this means the rating that you have works, right? People are coming back, hiring again and again. Even better, when they're getting hired, for how much money? Do their salary increase? Right? So don't think simply about numbers, but think what makes the difference in your idea. And if you start asking the question a little bit further, you might end up having with a single metric. That's the optimal. If that works, my business is fantastic, right? So give it a little bit of thought. But ideas are obviously, how fast can I sell? My sales cycle. How much money can I make per unit that I sell? What is the cost? Yeah. Customer acquisition cost. How much money do I need to spend to get one customer? One user. Yeah. Are people satisfied? Customer satisfaction. Do they stay with me? Lifetime value. for a long time. If I spend 100 euros on Facebook, how many customers do I get for that? Conversion rates, okay? Good. Maybe you're going to ask, I want this amount of money to build my company, right? So you need to show what is the cost structure of your company. Now, I will simplify this a lot, but factually, you have three things that you're doing when you're running a company. The solution part is where you build your value proposition. You have to spend R&D money, developers, and so forth to build that, right? Then you're spending money to get that value proposition to the market, the channel. Could be your website, your salespeople, your marketing, everything else. And then you have to run a company. You registered, you have employees, you have your rent, and so forth. These are fundamentally the three big costs that you have. So when you're thinking, how much do I need to build that company, you look at the people around you, how much salary do I need? If you have the competencies in-house, then this already covers a lot. The solution, what do I need to pay my people and my partners? And then, how much money do I need to do for sales and pay for sales and marketing? If you have those three, then you do have a structure. Now, don't try to think this like as a big company in 10 years' time. Think of it simply to deliver your unique value proposition to early adopters. Why? You have 54 hours. You won't be able to figure that out a bit. But you can say, if I create that particular product, with this small website, with us doing all the work and so forth, this is what is the cost that it will have. And that's it. Maybe the most interesting question. Now you would have all have made this one, and now somebody comes in and steals your business plan and goes away. The question is, why couldn't they do what you do? Why couldn't they simply copy your idea? If you figure an answer to this one, right, then you have something which the author of the Lean Canvas calls an unfair advantage. This means whatever you do, even if somebody will come and try to get that, they wouldn't be able to implement it. Some unfair advantages are built over time. So for example, when people ask me, what is your unfair advantage? Then I say, well, I worked with over 100 startups, and I created over 150 million of revenue. So somebody could do that as well, but it would take them maybe 10 years. Right? So it's an advantage. Somebody would like to do the same. In your business, you can call it also a market entry barrier. That's another thing, right? Another way to say it. But it's a market entry barrier could mean also something that you put legally in place, right? If you have a patent, if you have an expert in your team, which is the single expert in the world, or one of the top 5, these are unfair advantages. If you have a big Rolodex of customers that you talk to, if you have people that have already signed contracts, these are unfair advantages. Because somebody else needs to do work to get there, even if they knew the full plan. Now, with that in mind, here is now the extended value proposition, which also gets the unfair advantage on it. So we talked about the one and the hotelier. So if you guys would have a contract with Société de Bain de Mer, and you would be the only platform in Monaco doing that for them, right? That's an unfair advantage. If you had exclusivity with them, then no other platform would do it. These are the things that you are searching for as a business, because this guarantees your longevity, guarantees that your revenue remains stable. And this, I will tell you this, most of the businesses today never thought about that. Existing businesses today never thought about that. How do I know? You see, big businesses are failing all the time, because they think their size is an advantage, unfair advantage, and it is not. Size is not an unfair advantage. It helps, but it's not an unfair advantage. Put the perspective, right? Nokia, anybody? So, if you have arrived to this one, the next exercise is to be able to say one thing to describe your full business. Now, because I stayed with that example with one, right? You could say you are a TripAdvisor for hotels and service personnel. One sentence. Do you understand? No, probably. It's not completely, but it's TripAdvisor for. Okay, I know it's rating. I know it's a portal. I know there's people, the descriptions, blah blah blah. So then if people say, yeah, tell me more. Well, for hotels this means this. For users this means that. And then you have come into a discussion. How much money are you making? We charge hotels so much money every time they're getting a person in there, which comes from our platform. But we charge the users, I don't know who's the customer. Right.
Just a question.
Yes?
So when did you scratch the part? I didn't get what you, when you scratched it needs to be
Oh, it's because it's a mistake. It's a mistake. No, it's a mistake that I did in the slide.
Okay.
It's a typo. I didn't scratch it, it's still there, it's just because, yeah. You see, it's gone there, right? So there are copies outside which you can use to do that. In theory, what I have done now, do not know what's exactly the time, anyone give me the time? 10 o'clock. So we have had less than 30 minutes to do that. You don't need more than 30 minutes to get that on the table. You just need to say users, one line. Who is the user? Write a bit about it. If you know a little bit more detail, write about who is the user. Who is the customer? Write 3 problems, maximum. If you have only one, just write one. One for users, one for customers, as you like. Say what exists today. This is your competition, right? You need to know what exists today. If you're doing things which the competition does not do, that's a good sign already. For each problem, say what is your solution for that problem. Say why this solution that you have creates benefits. More revenue, less cost, better experience, right? As we discussed. Build this one, your 30-second pitch, elevator pitch, another word for that. For your users, for your customers. Think about how you're going to bring this to market, and then this is your cost and your revenue. Another way to look at this is this part of the canvas is if your business is desirable, if people want your business. This part of the canvas is if your business is feasible, right? And the lower part is if your business is viable, if you're going to make money. So do people want it? Can we build it? And can we make money out of it? This is the lower part. That's the way to look at it. There you go. Thank you very much. Any questions before I let you go get your canvas? Yes?
Are you sending the presentation right now?
Yes, I have. I will give you a memory stick, and then you can pass it around, and everyone can put it on the laptop. If somebody wants to send me an email as well, I will give you the memory stick. That's the easiest thing to do. So that's our value proposition, by the way. That you have an example as well. Any other questions? No? So the canvases are over there. Take 1 per team or 2 per team. There should be 50, so it should be